Hello, Vanakkam. Welcome to the Electrical Engineering Examples channel. The objective of this channel is to provide detailed solutions to example problems that will help you maximize your exam performance. In this video, we will look at an example associated with cylindrical rotor synchronous machine acting as a generator. And this machine is connected to an infinite bus. So let's get started with the question. A three-phase 20 kVA 208 volts 4-pole star-connected cylindrical rotor synchronous machine has a synchronous reactance of 1.5 ohms per phase. The resistance of the stator winding is negligible. The machine is connected to a three-phase 208 volt infinite bus. The rotational losses associated with the machine are negligible. The field current and the mechanical input power are adjusted so that the synchronous machine delivers 10 kilowatts of real power at 0.8 lagging power factor. If the real power P is held constant at 10 kilowatts, but the excitation E is adjusted to make power factor unity, determine the change in field current with respect to its previous value. So this is the question. As always, the question has some common information such as the rating of the synchronous machine, its synchronous reactance value, and some information about the winding resistance and rotational losses. The problem statement also indicates the infinite bus voltage level, which is in this case happens to be the same value as that of the rated voltage of the synchronous machine. Okay. To solve this problem, we will get started by representing the given system using a per phase equivalent circuit diagram. Okay. So let me take my pen. Okay. Representing the given system using the per phase equivalent circuit. I am going to sketch the per phase equivalent circuit. So a synchronous machine is usually represented or modeled using a voltage source, an alternating voltage source, and the magnitude and angle of this voltage source is nothing but the excitation EMF E with an angle which is the power angle delta in degrees. And this voltage source is usually in series with an impedance called as the synchronous impedance of the machine. In the given problem, since the stator winding resistance is negligible, so we can ignore the resistance and we can have only the synchronous reactance of the machine. Okay. So I will have two terminals A and B. So all the elements that are to the left of A and B is nothing but the representation or per phase equivalent circuit of the three-phase cylindrical rotor synchronous machine. Now this synchronous machine is connected to an infinite bus, And since the synchronous machine is delivering power into the infinite bus, I am drawing or representing the infinite bus as a load. This is an infinite bus. Consuming real power P. So the direction of current flow is into the infinite bus. I'm going to call this current as IA, which is also the load current. And then I have my voltage across the infinite bus. Let me redraw this current or represent the current here so that it is easier for us to work with. Then there is a voltage across the infinite bus, which I'm going to label it as V, as magnitude, and I'm going to take this voltage across the infinite bus as the reference voltage, and that is why I choose the angle to be 0 degrees. Okay, so representing the given system using per phase equivalent circuit, I have the circuit diagram. Let me make a note saying that stator winding resistance is neglected. The voltage across the infinite bus or the voltage of the infinite bus is taken as the reference voltage. And number 3, since the machine is connected to an infinite bus, and we know that at an infinite bus, the voltage magnitude and frequency will not change. The speed of rotation of the synchronous machine cannot change. Okay? So these are 3 important points we have. And in the problem statement, it is mentioned that the rotational losses are negligible. So as the rotational losses are negligible, power input and power output are going to remain the same. Okay? Because there is no stator winding resistance and there is no rotational loss, which means the efficiency of this machine is 100%. Okay? So these are some important understanding based on the information given in the problem statement. Now, the terminal voltage at the infinite bus, when drawn in per phase, okay, or the per phase terminal voltage across the infinite bus can be calculated using the information specified in the problem. Okay, because the machine is star connected, the per phase voltage value at the infinite bus is given by V magnitude is equal to 208 divided by root 3 which is equal to 120 volts approximately. Okay, so this is the first information that we extract. The value of excess is found to be, value of excess is given as value of synchronous reactance. (1.5 ohms per phase. Okay, so this is also known. Now, so whatever I have done so far, I have represented the given system. I have summarized some of the salient points mentioned in the problem statement, and I have synthesized the per phase voltage of the infinite bus, because we know that the machine is star connected. We are assuming the infinite bus is also star connected for convenience, and we have the per phase voltage to be 120 volts, and the value of synchronous reactance is found to be 1.5 ohms per phase. Okay. So this is just the information that is given in the problem statement. Our goal or our objective is to determine the change in field current when the synchronous machine's operating condition is changed. Okay? So the problem statement says that initially the synchronous machine is supplying 10 kilowatts of power to the infinite bus at lagging power factor of 0.8. Then there is a change in field current which results in change in excitation, and consequently the power supplied by the synchronous machine to the infinite bus is now 10 kilowatts. The magnitude remains the same, the real power remains the same, but the power factor of the infinite bus or the current now is unity. So basically the machine is supplying 10 kilowatts of power at unity power factor. So the objective is to determine the change, to find the change in field current. I would rather say to find the percentage change in field current, okay, with respect to its initial value. Now, we know that for any synchronous machine, there is something called as an open circuit characteristic curve, which is also commonly called as the magnetization curve. So if I sketch the magnetization curve, generic magnetization curve, I realize that this is a curve that is plotted between the magnitude of excitation EMF E and field current IF. Okay. And its typical characteristic curve looks like this. And this magnetization curve is obtained by maintaining, or is obtained for a particular speed. So this is when the machine is operating at synchronous speed, let us say. Okay. So from the magnetization curve, I know that as long as the speed of the machine does not change, which is the case in our problem, because the machine is connected to an infinite bus, the speed cannot change. So the speed remains fixed. So the change in field current, which is what I want to find, can be indirectly obtained. The ratio, the percentage change can be indirectly obtained by calculating the change in the excitation EMF magnitudes. So even though the problem statement asks to find the percentage change in field current, because I know that the machine's speed will not change, I can synthesize that from the magnetization curve of the machine, for a fixed speed, change in field current is, or the percentage change in field current should be equal to the percentage change in excitation EMF. Now this is based on one simplifying assumption. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to state one assumption, assuming the machine is operating in the linear part of the magnetization curve, assuming the machine is operating in the linear part of the magnetization curve. What do I mean by that? If I go back, as long as the machine is operating somewhere here in this part, okay, in this part of the curve, then I can say that percentage change in field current is equal to percentage change in excitation EMF magnitude for a fixed speed. See, this is very important assumption. Unless I make this assumption, I cannot equate the percentage change in field current to percentage change in excitation EMF. Okay, so it's important that you explicitly mention this assumption. Otherwise, there is a gap in your understanding. You don't clearly convey a complete understanding of a synchronous machine's operation. Now that we have made this assumption and we have concluded that for this assumption, the change in field current is going to be equal to the change, percentage change in field current is equal to the percentage change in excitation EMF at a constant speed, the problem itself gets modified. So for us, all I have to do is I have to solve for the percentage change in excitation EMF magnitude. So what I have to do is to solve the problem. So let me write the steps to solve. So the first step is to determine the magnitude of E at operating condition 1 and 2. And then take the ratio. Now to determine E, how can I solve for E? I can solve for E by solving the per phase equivalent circuit. Okay. Now to solve the per phase equivalent circuit, I need the value of current flowing in the circuit. So all I'm going to say is applying KVL to the loop, which is formed by the per phase equivalent circuit, I can solve for E, magnitude and angle, to be honest. But to apply KVL in that loop, I need current. So I need to solve for current first. As a complex number, as a vector. Okay. So even though I have numbered these steps 1, 2, 3, actually they should be the other way around. First solve for current, then solve for the equivalent, the excitation EMF, then take the ratio of the excitation EMF at both operating conditions. So this ratio is going to be this in line, or in this, the ratio is going to be the same for field current as well, because we have assumed that the machine is operating in the linear part of the magnetization curve. So the steps to solve is first solve for current IA, then solve for excitation EMF, then find the ratio of E. I should write like this. So find the ratio of E. Let me write this more legibly. At let me rewrite this. Sorry about this. Find the ratio of E at operating condition 1 to the magnitude of E at operating condition 2. This is the whole process that we need to follow. Okay. So because we made an assumption that the machine is operating in the linear part of the magnetization curve, we have changed the problem statement itself. The original problem statement asks us to solve for percentage change in field current based on the assumption and based on the implication that the machine is operating at fixed speed. We have modified the problem statement into determining the percentage change in excitation EMF E. And once we have modified the problem statement to a new objective, we can follow 3 steps. In the first step, we can solve for armature current. In the second step, we can solve for excitation EMF value by applying KVL to per phase equivalent circuit. And in the third step, we can determine the ratio of E at the 2 operating conditions specified in the problem, and that will give us percentage change in the field current. So step 1, solving for armature current. So we'll first start with operating condition 1. Under this operating condition, real power P 3 phase is equal to 10 kilowatts. See, the unit very clearly says it's in watts, therefore it is already real power P. In some problems, the power, the apparent power will be given. Let's say it's 15 kVA at a power factor. Then in that case, you need to solve for real power P from apparent power and power factor, and then you have to proceed. So 3 phase real power is given as 10 kilowatt. We know power 3 phase is nothing but 3 times V phase I phase cos theta. Cos theta is nothing but power factor. V phase we have already found it to be 120 volts. So 3 into 120 into IA magnitude is something we do not know. Cos theta is the power factor value. So under operating condition 1, the machine is supplying 10 kilowatts of power, and the power factor cos theta is equal to power factor is equal to 0.8 lagging. So the lagging has no significance in real power expression. So I can solve this expression to get the value of IA magnitude. IA is equal to 10 kilowatts divided by 3 into 120 into 0.8. So let me quickly solve this for you. If it were a face-to-face class, you would have done all these calculations. I'm a bit unfortunate in that sense. Now that I have to do all the calculations, I hope I don't make a mistake. You can always check this. So this is 34.722 ampere. And please remember, we need to solve for the vector current or the current phasor. So current phasor IA will be IA magnitude at an angle of negative theta because of lagging power factor. So the negative sign is because of lagging power factor. If it were a leading power factor operation, then theta will be positive. Now, what is the value of theta? Theta is equal to inverse cos of 0.8, which is most likely close to 37 degrees. Okay, let me quickly calculate that. Inverse cos of 0.8, which is 36.87 degrees, which implies my IA phasor or IA vector is going to be equal to 34.722 amperes at an angle of minus 36.87 degrees. So this is the first step. So I have solved for my armature current, which is also the current through the load under operating condition 1. Once I have solved for the current, I can use the per phase equivalent circuit. I can write KVL for the loop, and I can say E vector is equal to V vector or V phasor plus IA phasor multiplied with the synchronous reactance expressed in complex form, which is J times XS. Substituting the values, V phasor, since it's assumed to be the reference phasor, it will have 120 at an angle of 0 degrees. IA phasor is just what I calculated, or is something that I calculated just now. It's 34.722 at an angle of negative 36.87 degrees. This is multiplied with 1.5J, which is the synchronous reactance value. So let me quickly do the math. I have a calculator that can do complex arithmetic. So it saves me a lot of time. I encourage you to have such a calculator if you don't have one already. And I'm going to express this value in polar form, which gives me that it is 156.88 is the magnitude, and the angle is found to be 15.4 degrees. And the unit of this is volts. Please note, this is the per phase excitation EMF, not the three phase, not the line to line. Okay, this is the per phase value. Now, whenever you come for such a number, one thing you should do immediately is to check whether this makes sense or not. The magnitude of the excitation EMF is greater than the terminal voltage, which makes sense because the load is lagging power factor and the machine has reactance, which is inductive reactance. Consequently, there will be a voltage drop across the inductive reactance. So the excitation EMF magnitude should be greater than the magnitude of terminal voltage, which makes sense. And how about the angle? The angle should be a positive number for a synchronous machine when it is acting as a generator. So I do not know about the absolute values, but at least I know that the trend makes sense. The magnitude is greater than 120 and the angle is greater than 0, which makes perfect sense. Okay. See, unless the angle is greater than 0, real power cannot flow from the machine into the infinite bus. So if you recollect, the real power has to flow or flows from the voltage source that has greater angle compared to the other. Okay. So this is excitation EMF E under operating condition 1. So the magnitude of E, I'm going to call this 1. So let me write this within the magnitude symbol. Magnitude of E1 is 156.88 volts. So this is something I'm going to make a note of and keep it. I'm going to repeat the procedure for operating condition 2. Under this operating condition, P3 phase is equal to still 10 kilowatts specified in the problem, and the power factor cos theta is 1. So using the same equations, I can solve for my current expression under this new operating condition. So I will solve for current. I get the magnitude of current. So you should write this as the magnitude of current, 27.778 amperes. Again, at this step, I need to take a moment to see whether this answer makes sense. So if you recollect the V curve of the machine, recollecting V curve of the machine, so the V curve is nothing but the curve plotted between the armature current, IA, and the field current, IF. Okay, the values are magnitudes. And we know that it is like a shape of a V with minimum value of IA happening at unity power factor. So this is unity power factor condition. To the right of that is lagging power factor condition. And to the left of that is leading power factor condition. So this is lagging and this is leading. Okay. So one thing is certain, that whenever we go from lagging or leading to unity power factor, the magnitude of armature current should decrease. And if I go back and compare with the previous value, I clearly know that the current magnitude has decreased. So this makes sense. I do not know if 27.778 is correct or not, but at least I see that the trend is being followed. So logically speaking, if I have to pick a number, say if it's a multiple choice question, I give you the magnitude of armature current under lagging power factor condition, and I give you 4 options, only one being lower than the operating condition 1 value, then you do not have to solve, you can directly tick that. Okay, so that is something you need to keep in mind. Now once I have solved for IA, I'm going to solve for my E using the same approach. Solving for E vector, I get E vector is equal to 120 angle 0 plus IA, which is 27.8778. And what will be the angle of this current? Because this is unity power factor, my theta will be 0 degrees, because the current will be in phase with the voltage. Okay? So my IA vector, let me just write it for the sake of it so that you don't miss it out. Since unity power factor, UPF, okay, so that is why the angle is 0 degrees. Very important. This will be, the unit will be amperes. And what is the synchronous reactance? 1.5 times J. So if I solve for E vector under this new operating condition, once again using complex math, I get the value of E to be 127.03 at an angle of 19.15 degrees and volts. Does this make sense? We have to draw, or we have to reconsider. Say earlier the machine was operating in lagging power factor condition. So if I draw the power factor, phasor diagram for the lagging power factor condition, my voltage phasor, which is the reference, it has not changed because this is the infinite bias voltage, stays here. Initially the current was, IA1 was lagging. So this is IA1, let's say, as a vector. J times IA1 times XS will be perpendicular to this. So initially so this is J times IA1 times XS, and consequently my E1 will be something like this. So this will be my E1. Okay? And the value of delta was found to be 15 degrees, and the magnitude, E1 has gone crazy. So let me just draw this. This was the initial angle. Now let me change color And now under the second operating condition, because the real power P is fixed, IA cos theta has to remain constant. So the horizontal component of IA has not changed. So IA2 will be equal to IA1 cos theta 1, which is IA2. And this is IA2, which is in phase with V because the power factor is unity. Now, because of that, IA2JXS will be perpendicular. And if you recollect, E sine delta has to remain constant when P is constant. So this is my E2. Okay, so my E2 clearly has lower magnitude than E1 or smaller magnitude than E1 and greater angle than E1. So this is my E2. It's very important you do this as soon as you solve for values. See, the math is important. If you don't get correct numbers, you will definitely lose points. But what I want you to understand in this process of solving problems is the physics and is the concept making sense, or if the concept is being validated by these numbers. Okay. At least by checking these, we will avoid some totally incorrect numbers, some rubbish results. Let us say I have got E2 to be 200 volts. Okay, let us say I get that due to some numerical error. Okay? Or accidentally, let us say I substitute 208 volts here instead of 120, let us say, which can happen in an exam. Then I will definitely get an E value greater than 200 volts. Now, if I get E value greater than 200 volts, it will not make sense because the moment I draw my phasor diagram, it is evident that E2 magnitude should be smaller than E1 magnitude and the angle of E2 should be greater than that of E. This is what I want you to convey in an exam sheet, convey in an assignment solution. Okay, please just do not solve few equations, give me a number and say this is what it is. That is okay, that is elementary analysis, but that is not expressing your understanding of the physical behavior of the system. I expect something like this, where you clearly convey to me that you have understood what you are doing. Okay? Solving for E, you get E magnitude as 127 volts and angle is this. So let me change my color back to blue. And so now I'm going to call this as E2 magnitude, which is 127.03 volts. So now let us go to the final step, which is to determine the ratio of E2 to E1. And this will be 127.03 divided by 156.88. I'm not too sure about my numbers here. You can go back and you can check. And that is something I have to calculate. When expressed in percentage, so this comes as 0.8097. So if I have to write in percentage change in magnitude of excitation EMF is found to be 81% approximately. Okay. And since percentage change in excitation EMF is nothing but percentage change in field current, IF is equal to 81%. Okay. So this is because we have made that assumption that the machine is operating on the linear part of the magnetization curve. But for that assumption, we cannot say this as a statement. Okay. So if we don't make that assumption, you need to have the actual magnetization curve with you. You need to solve for E. You need to extrapolate IF from the curve, and then you have to solve for the ratio. So that is one more step in the process, but I'm sure you will figure it out if you know how to solve this one. Okay? So I hope I have shown the details behind solving a problem such as this. As I said, numbers are important, but equally important is your demonstration of understanding the concept behind solving such a problem. So with this, let me stop this video and I will upload this soon and I will share it with you. Thank you.